harata, harata, lada'at ki Adonai, hu, ha Elohim, ein od milbado.
Good job. Sharon, would you like to try?
Yes, sir. 하레에타 라다아트 키 아도나이 후 하 엘로힘 에인 오드 미르바로 미르바도.
Okay. Today we are going to talk about a new stem, which is hopal. And although we haven't talked about this in detail, I think I need to mention at least the name of hopal. Do you remember when I was talking about this? So when I call the name hopal, it's not meant to be, what is it, new to us. Are you familiar with this? When was that I was talk about this? Hopal. Does anybody remember?
In first
Sorry,
exam,
Stephen, what did you say?
in the exam of Hebrew 1.
Okay, okay. And then what else? In Hebrew2. When
The
did I talk about
preformative
it?
mem,
Sorry?
the participle form of preformative mem.
Right. It appears you're right. I talk about it dealing with preformative mem. So when we have preformative mem, then that is the indicator of what? Participle. So there are 4 stems that can take this preformative mem of participle form. So what was this? What was that? PL, Pual, Hifil, Hofal. So we are familiar with Hifil, PL, but Puar is the passive form of PL. Hifil is what we are going to deal with, I think, tomorrow onward. I don't know, maybe on Thursday, yeah, something like that. But Hofal is also passive, the passive form of Hifil. So not Hifil. What am I talking about? Oh no, I got confused. Right, I meant the Nephi stem. So we are already familiar with the Hifil stem. So Hofal is the passive form of Hifil. So in fact, Hifil is a causative meaning. Am I right? So it still has the causative meaning, but in terms of a passive form. So we are going to talk about it later. But anyway, just for information, Hofal is the passive form of Hifil. Okay? Then what do we expect? Okay, let me ask you this question. All right. We just Hebrew 1 and 2, you know, what is most important in Hebrew 1 and 2 is the indicator, diagnostic of those different, stems and forms, and even dealing with different types of verbs, weak verbs. So we need to be familiar with all those indicators, right? So we know that, okay, he feel has something to do with he. Then, of course, hofal must be related to the sounds of the name, ho. So we can expect, probably we can think like, oh, we will have preformative he, but the vowel sound must be o. So maybe we will have ho, preformative ho. That's it. So then the question is, where can you see this stem? Can you guess? We have how many words? 9 words appearing in today's passage. Can you recognize it?
Who?
Yeah, where is it? Ho. Preformative ho for the whole first step.
The second word.
Second word.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think this is the verb?
So like the comments seems like comments cut off,
Okay.
and
And
this looks like ra, but like the last hey, it is replaced by ta.
okay. So then this is a fixed form, Amos?
And seems to me like that.
Okay, good job, Amos. You're right. So you got something that sounds like hey, but of course, this kamet is not kamet, but it's a kamet hatuf. So Amos was right. This one is not supposed to be pronounced as ah. It's not ha, but it's ho. Do you remember two conditions for what is it? The prerequisite of kamet hatuf. In order for the kamet to be kamet hatuf, two things should be there. I mean, should be met. Two conditions. Do you remember
Yeah.
what they are?
Number one, it should be in a closed syllable. And number two, it should be unaccented or unstressed.
Right, exactly. You're right. So as you can see that the stress comes here. Okay. So talking about this one comes under the syllable, which is not accented. So number one condition is done already. The second condition is what? It should be coming under a closed syllable. What do you mean by closed syllable? So you can see that this shua is not vocal. Why? Because it is preceded by a long vowel point, right? Do you remember this? If you have a long vowel point before this shua, then the shua should be silent. So then the pronunciation is not ha, re. You need to say har. So until here, har, it is a syllable. So must be closed by resh sound. So talking about this first syllable, we can say that, oh, this syllable is closed and unaccented. Can you see that? Are you following me? What do you mean by closed syllable? The syllable ends in a consonant sound like resh. So it's not open. It's closed by a consonant sound. So the first syllable, which is har, is a closed syllable. So now, then kamet is satisfying two conditions. But this one is not ha, but this one is ho. So now you need to understand this, okay? Today, when you are talking about the other secondary clue or indicator of ho-fi stem, then you will have he, preformative, and then kamet sahatu, which makes O sound. So we are going to pronounce it as O. It's not O, ah. So in the beginning, it's like ho et ta, okay? Ho et ta. Is that clear? But anyway, then in order for this he and kamets to be ho, then it must be coming always under, I mean, in a closed level. Then what can you see? It's most likely you are going to have silent shua following the preformative he. So of course you will have he together with kametsatu And then the second vowel point is most likely what? Shua. In order for this one to be a closed syllable. Okay. There is another secondary clue, but I want you to pay attention to ha and kamet satu and shua, and you will be able to recognize it easily. Okay, so that's it. And then any other verb that you can recognize? What can you see? The third word is also a verb. And can you analyze it? What is this?
Yada.
Yes, that's yada. And then why is there we have the preposition lamed here? Why? What kind of form can take preposition lamed?
Infinitive construct.
Right, infinitive construct. So as someone said, it's yada. So when the first yod is dropped off, we have an augment, compensation, tab ending. Do you remember? This is not supposed to be new to you. So that's quite straightforward. And then we already dealt with this before. This one is yada, and then constant, infinitive construct, and then no PGN because it's infinitive construct, right? And special feature, Lamed preposition. Okay. And the question is, why do we have Hametz here? Okay. Must be Shua. Okay. But this is a new lesson, but it's not really important. But just for information, the accent falls under the first syllable of the word just before the preposition. So when it takes this accent here and it affects the pronunciation, that's why it comes with kamet, not shua. Okay. So, but anyway, not big deal. So it is still infinitive construct, first yodbal. But it follows all the pattern, right? So when we are dealing with infinitive construct, especially in terms of the first yodbal, then the yod will be disappearing and we are going to have top ending. When are we going to have ot ending for infinitive construct?
Third hair.
Yeah, the third hair verbs. So the third hair will be missing and it will be replaced by ot ending. So yeah, these are, I mean, these information uh, is still working here. Okay, so then let's move on. He means because for we have Adonai, who is he? He is she. So we have IPP, independent personal pronoun, and Ha Elohim means the God or gods. Okay, so in order for us to recognize it as our God, then we also need to pay attention to the context. Because sometimes Elohim can refer to the pagan god. That's what is it? The small g god. Okay. What do you mean by ain? Anybody? No? Ain? It's ein. What does it mean? Nothing.
Is not, are not.
Not. So normally we translate this one as there is no, there isn't, something like that. Old means
Still again.
Still.
yeah, again, still. And this one, actually, we have one, two, three, four components there. The first one is the preposition min and the preposition le and bat and pronominal suffix indicating 3MSG. So this one is just new vocabulary, but it's a idiomatic expression. So from and to and but alone, something like this. So you can say millibat. If you have a millibat and translate it as apart from, okay, apart from. So what do you mean? Together with o ending, apart from him or beside him. Okay. So then let us try to interpret it. Okay, talking about the second one, as I said, this one is la a, which means to see. Okay, and what about the stem? As I said, this one is taking ho, not ha. And what is the important clue that you need to pay attention to? If you have ha, not ha, but ha that looks like ha. That sounds silly. But anyway, and then followed by shua, then you are going to see it as ho. Is that clear? And then the stem should be ho fire. What about then form? Take out this ho because it's just an indicator, the diagnostic of ho. And we have la a, but the third he is replaced by ta. And what kind of form can take ta ending? It's a fixed form. Nothing. A, ta, 그, ti, u, tem, tenu. So this one is that ta for the affix form. The affix and then ta indicates what PGN? Nothing. A, ta. So A refers to 3FSZ, and then the next one is ta. So this one must be 2MSG affix form. Okay. And then what about then special feature? Nothing. Okay. And the meaning. So 2MSG, the subject is 2MSG, so must be you. And what about the translation of the tense of affix form? Affix is a complete action, so must be put into the past tense. So what does it mean by la in the whole file stem? So in the car, la means to see. Am I right? What about that in the Hebrew stem? You cause somebody to see, which means to show. Are you following me? So in the car stem, it means to see. In the Hebrew stem, it means to show, SHOW. And in the Hofa stem, then it must be the passive meaning of the Hebrew. So what is the passive meaning of show, showing? To be shown, shown, SHOWN. Okay, that's a passive, but not to be seen. Why? Because to be seen, SEEN, is what is it? The passive meaning of the car. Don't be confused here. We have different types of passive form. So we are going to talk about nifar. Nifar is the real passive form of the car stem. if you say the meaning is to be seen, S-E-E-N, then it's not Hophi, but Nephi. Okay, so you need to start from Hefil, the Hefil meaning, and make the Hefil meaning passive. So are you following me? So it's not meant to be seen, but to be shown. Is that clear? Okay, then let's move on. What do you mean by ata? IPP, which means you, independent personal pronoun. We have two IPPs today in the passage. So you, and then this one is also you. So how are you going to put these together? This one you, actually we don't we're not supposed to, we don't need to have this IPP because we already have ta. So whenever you have the doubling of the subject by or through the presence of independent personal pronoun, then you need to emphasize the subject. Okay, so then how are you going to emphasize it? You surely, you need to put certainly, surely. Okay, if you miss it, then you will lose 1 mark there. So then the translation is, okay, let's just focus on this. What is the meaning of this? Then you were shown. Are you following me? You were shown. And then together with this, then you were certainly shown. Okay, something happened. Someone caused this you to show. Okay, and then this one to, okay, let's start. Yata, past tense. Can you continue? What form?
Infinitive
Yeah,
construct.
infinitive construct, no PGN, special feature.
라메드 preposition.
Yes, Lamed preposition, meaning
To know.
to no. So, okay, from the beginning, you were certainly, surely shown to know what? He, that. So the meaning of key is that. Sometimes you put it, most of the time we consider it as for or because, but it has the meaning of that. So that the Lord, He is
not.
He is the God, right? And there is not, there isn't. Oh, this bit is
Still.
tricky, but we can also put it as else. Okay, until or what is it? The still again and else. There is no
One
else.
No else.
And then I said milibat means besides or apart from
him.
Apart from him.
Him.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is the final translation? You are surely shown to know that the Lord is the Lord. He is the God. There is
the God.
There isn't else beside him. Okay, let's move on. Oh, sorry. Okay, let's move on, dealing with each slide. Amos, could you read?
Okay, hopeful. This is from Practical 367. The hopeful is the passive of the Hefil. It is used to express causative action with the passive voice. This word Himlik, he made someone king, which is Hefil, but Hamalak, he was made a king, which is hopeful.
Okay, so Amos, understanding that the second one is a Hofa stem, then the pronunciation should be different, right? How are you going
Excuse-
to pronounce it?
Homelak.
Homlak.
Right,
Homlak.
home luck. So it's
Homlak.
not home me, because as I said, the shua
Homlak.
should be silent. So home luck. Okay, good job. So that is the clue. So we have hot together with kametsatu. And how did you know this is kametsatu? As I said, it is followed by shua. Okay, that's something important today. So then, let's pay attention to the meaning of the Hefil stem and the Hofa stem. So in the Hefil stem, the word malak, which means to rain, should be causative meaning. So it must be like called someone to reign. What does it mean? Made someone king. So in the Hebrew stem, he made someone king. But in the Hofer stem, it must be he was made the king. So you need to see the difference between Hefil and Hofa in terms of the meaning. So now the causative action is still there, being the Hofer stem, but the difference between Hefil and Hofa is the passive voice. Are you following me? Okay, then let's move on. So now let's look at Hofa of fixed form. So we need to pay attention to the indicator of Hofa. So as I said, we have preformative Ho, and it is followed by Shua. So it must be Shua to be, in order for this preformative He to be, what is that, Kametsatu. So Shua. So you can see that He and Kametsatu, and Shua. Can you see that?
Yes.
Another thing, since this one is O group, so we normally have O and U group. You know, it's not simply O. So O and U belong to the same group. So we have another possibility of Ho5. So I think I need to tell you that Ho is the most popular indicator for Ho5 stem, but sometimes you may have even Hu. So together with kibbutz, it makes Hu sound. Are you following me? So today you need to understand that, okay, what are the indicators of Ho5 stem, especially preformative he, may come with kametsatu or shua.
Sure.
So just understand that, okay, this one is O or U, right? It belongs to the same category. But anyway, the most important indicator is Ho, either with Kamet. Okay, let's move on. As you can see, it takes all a fixed pronoun a, ta, tu, ti, u, tem, nu together with preformative Ho. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, now it's becoming a bit harder after understanding the indicator of a fixed form. It's time for us to understand the other form too. Not yet. I think, okay, we need to deal with this indicator in relation to other types of weak verbs. Okay, then we cannot always expect ho or who. So we will talk about it. Let's just read it. Jim, can you help us to read?
He performative is indicator of Hefel affix. He or he performative is indicator of Hofal affix. In first yod verb and hollow verb, he performative is the indicator of Hofal affix. Generally, Hofal is the passive of the Hefel.
All right, we'll just stop there. Okay, Hefil will take he, but Hofar will take either ho or who. Okay, but what if we have first noon or third gotro or third he? Are we still gonna have ho and who? Yeah, it doesn't affect the preformative he together with the vowel point. But you are going to have, other indicator. In case of first noon verb, the first noon will be assimilated. Okay, the idea is still there. So let's look at our verb chart again. Let me show you another. Nice. Please look at your verb chart. I have it here too. Let's pay attention to Hofla. So let's start with strong verb on page, what page is it? 433. It's a strong verb. So we have here, look at this. It's a fixed form, strong verb. So as we have discussed, we have ho, preformative he, and the kamesatub, and then followed by shua. And then sometimes you may have even who together with the kibbutz. What about an affix form? A prefix form. We're going to talk about this one. For the strong verb, as you can see, we have prefix pronoun, and then it comes with kamet. Okay, in terms of kamets under the prefix pronoun, that's quite unique. Do you remember? When are we supposed to have kamets under the prefix pronoun? This is prefix form. And have you ever seen this kamets under the prefix pronoun? When was that? It's not really common for the prefix pronoun to come with kamets. So it has, I'm sorry?
Oh, no, sorry, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're right. I think, did you say hello verb?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, kamets is supposed to be coming forward hollow verbs, but you can see that this is not a hollow verb. So that's why I'm saying kamets under the prefix pronoun is a special indicator of kal hollow verbs, but not for the strong verb. But in this case, it's not referring to the kal hollow verb. Why? Because it's not hollow verb. Then it must be the indicator of Hofar stem. As I said, this kamet is not kamets, but kamets hatu. Are you following me? Why? Because two conditions are there. It comes under a syllable, which is unaccented and closed. So that's why it is followed by shua again. It's a silent shua. Are you following me? So now I'm saying that this kamet is not kamets, but kamets hatu. Now, do you understand? So looking at kamets or kamets hatu, and then if you see that this kamet is followed by shua, and then it's not haloba, then that must be a special indicator of what? Hofai stem. Unfortunately, we cannot see the preformative he when you are dealing with a prefix form. Okay, because it's sandwiched by the prefix pronoun and then the first consonant of the verb. So that's when the preformative he is dropped off. Are you following me? Is that clear? Okay, so then let's move on. Praise the Lord. whatever we are dealing with here is the strong verb. So what is this? As you can see that it comes with the preformative man, and then Pierce was right to recognize it as the indicator of participle form. But what vowel point do we expect for Hofal participle? Hofal participle will come together with the preformative man, but the vowel point should be what? Is it comet? It's comet hatuf again. Why? Because it comes in a syllable which is closed and unaccented again. So this schwa is important. Why? Because it indicates a closed syllable. So now, what is this for? The second one is he feel. So as you can see that if you have preformative man, then it clearly refers to what? Participle form, and you need to think about the stem. It has pata. So if you have a pata under the preformative man, then that should be kifil. And you have preformative man and kametsatu, then it must be hopal participle. Are you following me? Okay, let's move on. And then we have do this infinitive construct. Infinitive construct and absolute. Okay, so we have ha and hu. It still appears as ha and hu. So the most tricky part in terms of the form of the Hifil stem and participle prefix form, they are quite, straightforward. But when it comes to the distinction between affix 3 MSG and infinitive construct, then it's a bit tricky. Why? Because they are all taking preformative he and kamestatu or he and kibut. So you need to pay attention to the secondary clues, which are the vowel points under the first and then second root letters. So I think it's impossible for you to remember everything here. So just understand that dealing with whole file stem, then you gotta be careful with 3 of fixed form and infinitive. Then let's move on. For the first guttural, we are still staying with the whole file stem. Now look at this. This one is first guttural. Then can you see any difference? What is special about it? We are looking at this. Anything that you can recognize? This one is also preformative he and kametsatu. And you know that schwa cannot come under a guttural sound. So when a schwa is supposed to be coming under a guttural letter, then the schwa is changes to composite schwa. That's why we have composite schwa instead of schwa. But it is still what is it? Hametz hatu. Okay. Then let's move on. Prefix form. It's the same. You can see that prefix pronoun together with kamet hatu. It's the same. And then we have preformative mem together with kametsatu for participle form, and infinitive construct and absolute we take preformative he and together with kametsatu. Let's move on to first aleph. It's the same. It's you can consider it as first guttural. Let's look at first yod vav. Okay. As you can see, he feel a fixed form will take ho in the beginning for the first yod vav. Because as I said, the yod used to be vav a long time ago. So the indicator of first yod vav of the Hebrew stem should be holem plane. Do you remember this? Holem plane is important. And even it appears for the prefix form, as you can see, holem plane. Or sometimes even holem defectiva can come as a defective writing. But it's important to remember holem plane is the indicator of virtue of hip field. The same, but for the hofar, it will come with who. This is new. Okay, so you need to look at this and start memorizing as the indicator of first yod vav hofar. So who is the most important indicator for the first yod vav of the hofar stem in the affix form. But as I said, what is the principle is still the same for the prefix form. So now on the left side, we have a hifil. So prefix pronoun together with holem. And this shurek is the indicator of hofar. So now for the first yodba, by the way, it still comes as it is. So then now, this is quite new one. What is the indicator of first yodba hofar stem? Then you need to remember what? Who, preformative, who. Then you will be easily able to come across this because the preformative hair will be replaced. I mean, what is that? Dropped off, and then the sound, vowel sound, will be remaining. So we still have shurek. Preformative man comes with oo sound. So the idea that the yod is replaced by shurek is still there for the first yod vav or the hofar, because it is meant to be what? Holem, plene. So hifil, in the hifil stem, you see the first yod vav will be replaced by holem. Holem, okay? Holem. First yod vav hifil, holem. First yod vav hofar, shurek. Okay? So the yod will be replaced by shurek in the hofar stem, and then the yod will be replaced by holem plane in the hifil stem. We're talking about the first yod vav. Okay. This is another group. So let's move on. First noon. This. Look at this. What can you see? Praise the Lord. We have preformative he, and together is shurek. So as I said, preformative ho together with who are the indicators of hofar stem. And as you can see, the first noon is assimilated. So it's not brand new. Still, the indicator of the assimilation is there, and the preformative who appears. So this is the little variation. Let's move on to hello Bob. Okay, hello Bob. Okay, let's look at this. Now, together with the first yod Bob, hello Bob will take preformative, the preformative who. So I think this is important. Unlike he feel, because he feel, let's say, you remember that, okay, this one is not supposed to be, because if you are talking about he feel indicator hollow verb, then it comes with, you remember this, it's not he, but he. So like this one is something like, Sere or Sego. But why is that we have Shurek? Because this one is still Hofar. That's why it still comes together with who. We don't need to even talk about this prefix form. Of course, if you understand that, oh, the preformative uh, who is the most important indicator of hollow verb affix, and you can simply apply to the prefix form. So we have two consonant sound of hollow verb, and most importantly, we still have oo sound, like for the first yod verb. So in the whole five stem, hollow verb and the first yod verb will take the same indicator, which is who. Okay, too much information. So that's why I'm saying, this week and next week, all the lessons, especially DeFi, it's impossible for you to remember everything. That's why I decided to allow you to use your verb chart. But you need to be familiar with all those preformative and then the indicator diagnostics of different stems and form. Now, we still have a move. So think about the possibility of a participle and hofal. Okay, still have u. So this one refers to what? Hollow verb as well. So u, then think about two things. What are they? Hofal possibility, and then first yod verb or hollow verb. That's it. Uh, Okay, germinate means a verb that takes two identical letters. Not really common, so I'm going to skip it. Third control here. So of course, third control has something special at the end of the verb. So it doesn't really influence the preformative whole. So the preformative whole is still there. And then once again, commentative comes under the prefix pronoun. So it's not comments. It's the same. And preformative mo for participle form. The internet is quite slow. So it just follows the same pattern for the strong verb. But there must be some changes in terms of the last vowel point, because the third hair certainly affects the vowel system. But we can easily recognize them as a whole. Why? Because how far? Because the preformative whole appears, and then comments had to import all those important indicators. Third aleph is the same. Move on. Third hair, it's the same. Okay, that's it. So now, then let's come back to the lesson again. Talking about this slide again, then what do you need to remember? Okay, what are the most important indicators of Hophi stem? Then you need to let me know, okay, that's the preformative ho or who. Okay, but not for the first yod verb and hollow verbs. Why? Because first yod verb and hollow verbs will take preformative. The preformative who. Okay, So it will continue to affect participle form and even prefix form, which means it will definitely carry the specific vowel point of Shrek planet for the participle and prefix form. So it will take u and mu. Okay, that's it. But for the first noon, even for the third gotro, even for the third he, the preformative ho or who still works. Okay. So in case of first noon verb, then what do you need to remember? You need to remember that it will be assimilated. That's it. So I think first noon, third gotro, and third he will be quite easy. But in terms of first noon and third he, it's gonna be a little bit tricky. Why? Because the first noon will be assimilated, and the third he will be dropped off sometimes, which means you are going to deal with only two root letters. Then how are you going to successfully recognize it as Hofa stem? But still, the preformative ho and who will be there. Okay, so that's the idea. But talking about the indicator of first yod and hollow verb Hofa stems, then you need to remember the preformative who. Okay, so this is done. La Hofa affix 2 MSG, non-special picture, you are or you have been shown. And this one is also done. Yada, stem, kal, infinitive construct, non-PGN, special picture, laminate preposition, meaning to know. So this is the breakdown of this specific expression of ein, od, lipato. As you can see, let's just deal with this. Okay, so this one, min, lepat, and then pronoun with a suffix. But strictly speaking, this one is also refers to two aspects, preposition lamed and bat. Bat means what? Separation. So it comes together with other prepositions from, for, or to, and separation. So milibat will be treated as an idiomatic expression like besides or apart from. So milibado means besides him. So final translation was you or have been shown to know that the Lord, he is the God. There is no one else beside him. It's a bit smoother translation. NIV said, you are shown these things so that you might know that the Lord is God. Besides him, there is no other. NRSV, to you it was shown so that you would acknowledge that the Lord is God. There is no other besides him. Okay, hope prefix strong verb. I think we are done with this. What do you need to remember? You need to remember kametsatu. And why is it kametsatu? Because it is followed by shua. Okay. Hofa prefix. It talks about. Okay, let me just read. Hofa prefix in diagnostics. Kametsatu or kibbutz can be found under the prefix pronoun. You can see in this case, shu kibbutz is comes under. Where is it? Yeah, here. So you need to pay attention to all those things. So either kametsatu or kibbutz will be found under the prefix pronoun. And pata under the second root letter, except in 2 FSG, 3 MPL, and 2 MPL. Well, I think you don't need to remember this. What you need to do is to remember this most important indicator, which means Kamet Hatub and followed by Shua. Then, think about the possibility of Hofai stem. Okay, and you need to go to your verb chart and make sure all the secondary vowel points are identical. Okay, so that's it. How do you know whether kametz is kametz or kametz hatuf? The kametz hatuf occurs only in a closed and unaccented syllable. Opa participle infinitive absolute. Everything is there. So we have covered this one. So preformative mem will come together with kametz, hatuf, or kibbutz. So having the preformative mem, then that's for sure we have a participle form. But here will come with preformative me, puar, me, kefir, ma, and hopar, mo or mu. Okay, that's it. And most importantly, comments on the second root consonant. No, I think I'm talking of infinitive absolute form will also come together with pluripomotive ho and hu. So, but there must be some changes in terms of the vowel system between 3 MSG of fixed form and then infinitive absolute form. So you need to go to the verb chart and compare them, and you will be able to recognize it successfully. Okay. Do you have any question today? Okay, I don't think we are going to continue this lesson that has something to do with Hofar. I think it's done today. And Hofar is not really common stem. But anyway, as long as you understand how it works, what are the things that we need to remember? Okay, Hofar, first of all, Hofar is the passive of the Hifil. So the causative meaning should be carrying the passive voice from the Hifil stem. So that is the right translation. So you need to start from the meaning of the Hifil. Okay, do not start from the cause meaning. So you always need to make the Hifil active voice as passive voice. That's how you're going to translate it. And then as the indicators of Hofar, then what you need to remember? Preformative, ho or hu. In case of Kametz Hatub, ho, and it will be normally followed by shua. That's it. And for the first yod verb and halo verb, we are not going to have ho or hu. What are you going to have? I mean, who? We will have he and shurak. Okay? Is that clear? That's it. For your assignment, let me see. Labaya message me. Let me see. Page 204 and 1, 2, 3, and 4. So only 4. 1 to 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Page 204. I believe it is due tomorrow. So you need to do it right now. So, okay, do you have any question today? No? Okay, then we are done today. So one more time, let me summarize what we are going to do. You are not going to take translation quiz next Tuesday, but you have to take your vocabulary quiz this Friday, and then it is due next Tuesday. Okay? So that's it. And just to be ready for this last, how can I say, move. All right? We need to climb the highest mountain. You will be confused a lot. To be honest, being a Hebrew teacher, I'm also confused. It's impossible for me to remember everything. But I'm not really proud of myself in telling you that I'm also confused. But what really matters is, there is a really possibility that you have to read the Hebrew Bible as it is. Even these other Old Testament scholars cannot do that. Of course, they are familiar with their own area, like some OT scholar, he has written his thesis on Isaiah chapter 20. Then they must know and they must be aware of all the issues there. But what I'm trying to say is, it's impossible for them to know every single thing apart from their own area. That means, when we are doing our own research, let's say you are preparing your sermon or you're writing an exegetical paper, you have to consult the professional books written on the specific area in terms of grammar and vocabulary. Because in talking about vocabulary, it has a lot of various meanings. You know what I'm saying? So impossible for the scholar to remember all meaning of one word. You need to really go through a thorough study. Now, when we are about to deal with the last in the parts of Nephi, I want to encourage you not to give up and then have a great expectation that after this, you are done in terms of the general grammatical aspect. And praise the Lord, right? We are almost there. And it's already confirmed that I'm going to teach you Hebrew 3. And what I'm going to do is this. I will really try to revise Hebrew 3 because otherwise you need to deal with a lot of assignment. But I'm planning to make it as practical as possible so that you will be able to know what to do with this Hebrew language by the time that you finish Hebrew 3. Trust me. So after learning, those basic grammar of Hebrew, you may say, what is this for? How am I going to apply this to the practical ministry? That's what I want to do. So after learning Hebrew 3, then I'm sure that you will be able to know what to do with your exegetical paper and your, sermon. So I'm quite excited about this journey. And I'm sure that there are some aspects that I'm not really familiar with, but we will be there together trying to finish under the journey in Hebrew 3. So come on, I'm motivating you not to give up and then just finish strong. You can do it. We are almost there. Okay, are you all excited? Okay, then come back to me tomorrow with a smiling face, showing me, the clue that you are excited. Okay, don't show me your gloomy face and say, "Oh, Pastor, I'm confused." Everybody is confused. Is it comforting? If I say that the teacher is also confused, and oh, what a comfort. Okay, I'm okay. All right, I'm gonna see you all tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Uh,